One of the greatest mistakes that leaders and politicians make is to judge policies and programs by their intentions rather than their results. This is a quote from one of the greatest economists that ever lived, Milton Friedman. It's also said that the law of unintended consequences is the only true law of history. Well, in today's video, I'm going to show an example of this. I'm going to show that a policy created by the previous president, Mr. Trump, has now guaranteed, most likely, the current president, Joe Biden, to get a second term. And it has to do with something that's happened right here in the state of Florida. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are scratching your heads, but it just goes to the law of unintended consequences. Our first stop is here. Republicans on the verge of outnumbering Democrats in Florida for the first time. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are still scratching your heads. How can this mean that Joe Biden gets a second term? Well, you just have to read the details. You see, in Florida, we're no longer a swing state. We are registering more and more people as conservative and Republican. During the Obama years, the difference was about 700,000. Democrats had 23,000 more registered voters than Republicans in the Sunshine State at the end of August of 2021. That was down from the 700,000 voter advantage that occurred during the Obama administration that the Democrats had. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means even though they have an advantage in registered voters, in the last election, Mr. Trump won in the state of Florida by over 400,000 votes. So it's very clear that Florida is now a conservative state. I don't think that surprises anybody. Now, here's where things get a little bit weird. This is 270 to win. This is the website that you go to if you want to make your own electoral map. Now, this is the layout for 2024 with the new reapportioned electors. Now, this doesn't have to do with registered voters. What this has to do with is total population. Florida gained 1. We were supposed to have gained 2. Florida only gained 1 electoral vote. We were supposed to gain 2. Now, this is why I don't pay attention much to the whole audit thing. Because even if you flip Nevada red, flip Arizona red, keep Texas red, flip Georgia red, keep Ohio, keep North Carolina, look at the numbers. 270 to 267. I had talked about this long ago when it was almost assured that Florida was going to get 2 electoral votes. We had 29 in 2020. In 2024, we were supposed to have had 31. But for some reason, the census numbers didn't come out as high as we thought. Now, we have long passed and exceeded the number that would have given us the second electoral vote because so many people are moving here. But we only reapportion every 10 years, meaning they're not going to reassess population and reassign these votes again until 2030. Now, do you want to know why Florida only got 1 more electoral vote? It's right here from the Orlando Sun-Sentinel. Florida and Republicans are winners in new allocation of seats in Congress. This was from April. Florida is about to become a more powerful player in national politics based on census reapportionment numbers released Monday. We gain clout, blah, 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 blah. But Florida's gain isn't as big as some had expected. You see, we only gained 1. We were supposed to have gained 2. And as you can see, the reason that's important is that if Florida had 1 more vote, That would mean one more vote away over here. It would be 269 to 268. You see, they kept it up in New York. That's where that vote was, even though their population is collapsing. Pennsylvania, this is all collapsing up here. They decided to keep it up there. Why? Let's go back to the article. First, the increased clout will come in the state's congressional delegation. Florida will gain one seat for a total of 28. Plus the 2 senators, that's where the 30 comes from. And that's how it works in every state. Florida will gain one electoral vote there as well for a total of 30 out of the 538. Florida will have more than 1/10 of the 270 votes needed to win the presidency. Now, though Florida grew a lot, it wasn't as high as some expected. Many analysts thought Florida would gain 2 seats in the House and 2 electoral college votes. Though the state gained relative to most other states, it fell short of adding enough people to gain 2 more House seats and electoral votes. Why? I'll tell you why. The previous president. It has to do with Mr. Trump's desire to not count certain people. Steve Shale, a Tallahassee-based Democratic strategist, states on Twitter that attempts by former President Donald Trump's administration to prevent the census from counting non-citizens who the Supreme Court ruled ultimately had to be included could have had an impact. You see, this is the law of unintended consequences. By preventing the census from counting non-citizens, Florida was robbed of one electoral vote. That electoral vote would have made the difference. That would have made the difference. While other states were, and they either maintained or gained, the blue states, because that didn't happen here. Now, for the next 10 years, Florida is going to be underrepresented because we have enough people to have 31 electoral votes. But we're not going to get credit for it because of a policy the previous president had about not counting non-citizens, even though other places were doing the same thing. Law of unintended consequences confirmed. The result is a net negative for conservatives. Now, my heart's not all that troubled about this because, as we have seen, governance comes from governors. And so for the next 10 years, we're going to have to, in conservative states, focus on our local sheriffs, local town councils, local school boards, mayors, and governors. Because this map, numbers don't lie. These states are all lost causes. There is zero chance of any of these states in blue flipping red. Not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And like I said, all of your audits and all of your, looking at this and look at that, even if granted, Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Georgia, Florida stays red, all these places, Ohio, they still have 270, even with Nevada being flipped back red, which isn't really likely. It's likely going to be this. This is why only governors matter. The only way Nevada matters is if Florida was able to play by the same rules as everybody else. But the previous president, Trump, didn't allow it and fought it. and cause the problem. So, those who have decided that they want to live in the blue states, congratulations on your big win, because this is your prize. This is your prize. This is what you get. Yes, you've got it. You got more electoral votes. But your big prize is going to be Joe Biden and tent cities. Congratulations on your big, giant, enormous win. Enjoy your trash. Enjoy your filth. Enjoy your economic collapse. Enjoy being afraid to go out. Enjoy the robberies and the violence and the spray paint and the filth everywhere. You see, it happened before. Way back in the 30s, they were called Hoovervilles. So, and all of you who have a problem with the non-citizens, Jennifer Veterans for Truth put up a video last night talking about what's going on in El Salvador. And they're giving out these free packages to every citizen to deal with the 2020 sniffles. There's a very interesting substance that is included. And I'm sure a lot of you might know what I'm talking about. Can't say it here on YouTube. But check out her video. The government of El Salvador, you know, those horrible, terrible people, they're so just sad sack and can't do anything right. Their government seems to have gotten it right, according to some. Meanwhile, in reference to yesterday's video, talking about ISIS, I forgot to cover this. You see, it's not just Caligula that worships ISIS. This is Herbert Hoover National Historic Site in Iowa. And here's a statue to ISIS. So you ever wonder why all the politicians that want to start running for president, why they show up in Iowa first? It's very simple. They're just bowing the knee to ISIS. And I'll leave it there. So, sometimes you've got to look a little deeper and think, wait a minute, is what I'm doing going to have the intended effect, or are there going to be other effects I don't know about? Because we've all paid a dear price, at least for the next 10 years, for the short-sightedness of not this current president, but the one before. And I'll give you the links to the articles, and you can read them all yourself, and you can realize why things are like they are. I'll leave it there. God bless. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you guys tonight on Twitch.